The stars looked like tiny white dots against the black emptiness of space. The civilian transport ship Halcyon Dawn moved smoothly through this darkness. It carried 237 people from Earth to their new home on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Eric Bennett stood on the bridge. He held a cup of coffee in one hand and looked at the ship's route on a screen. His blue uniform was neat and pressed. The journey had been peaceful so far. How much longer until we reach the Jupiter checkpoint? Eric asked. Lisa Monroe, his first officer, checked her computer. She was smart and careful, with short brown hair and quick eyes. About 14 hours, Captain. All systems are running normally, she replied. Eric nodded and took another sip of coffee. He had made this trip 12 times before. The Halcyon. Dawn wasn't a fancy ship, but it was solid and reliable. It carried scientists, teachers, doctors, engineers, and families. Some were going to Europa for work. Others wanted to start new lives on the colony that humans had built there. Captain Bennett? The voice came from Sam Cooper, a young man who worked at the communication station. I'm picking up something strange on our sensors. Eric walked over to Sam's station and looked at the screen. What is it? 3 ships, sir. They're moving fast and coming toward us from the left side. They're not answering our calls. Eric frowned. They weren't expecting to meet any ships in this part of space. The route between Earth and Europa was well-traveled, but mostly empty. Show me, he ordered, a large screen at the front of the bridge. Lit up, it showed 3 ships moving quickly toward them. The ships were smooth and sharp-looking, like knives cutting through space. They were dark gray with strange markings on their sides. Try to talk to them again, Eric said. He felt uneasy. Those ships didn't look like any human design he knew. Lisa moved next to him. Captain, I don't think those are Earth ships. Or from any human colony. Eric's heart beat faster. Humans had not met any aliens yet, at least not officially. There had been stories from the outer colonies, tales of strange ships seen at the edges of human space, but nothing confirmed. All crew to alert status, Eric said. Sam, keep trying to talk to them. Ask what they want. The bridge became busy as the crew prepared for possible trouble. The Halcyon Dawn was not a military ship. It had basic shields for protection against space rocks and radiation, but no weapons. Still no answer, sir, Sam said, his voice tight with worry. The strange ships were now very close. They moved in a triangle formation, getting closer to the Halcyon Dawn with each second. Should we change our course? Lisa asked quietly. Before Eric could answer, a bright green light shot out from the lead alien ship. It hit the Halcyon Dawn, making the whole ship shake. We're under attack. Lisa shouted. Another beam hit them, stronger than the first. The lights on the bridge flickered. Warning sounds filled the air. Eric grabbed the ship's communication system. This is Captain Eric Bennett of the civilian transport Halcyon Dawn. We are an unarmed ship carrying families and workers. Please stop your attack. The only answer was another hit. This one tore through the ship's thin shields like they were paper. Damage report, Eric called out, holding onto his chair as the ship shook again. Shields are down. We have hull breaches. On decks 3 and 4, someone shouted back. Eric made a quick decision. Send out an emergency signal to Earth and Europa. Tell them we're under attack by unknown ships. He turned to Lisa. Try to move us away from them. Use the emergency thrusters. Lisa's fingers flew over the controls, but another hit made her fall back from her station. Thrusters not responding, Captain. The bridge erupted in a shower of sparks as systems overloaded. Through the large window at the front, Eric could see the alien ships clearly now. They moved around the wounded Halcyon Dawn like hungry wolves. Betty Nelson, the ship's doctor, called up to the bridge. Captain, we have many injured people down here. Families with children. What should I tell them? Eric closed his eyes for a moment. 237 lives were his responsibility. People who trusted him to get them safely to Europa. Tell them ... He began, but another hit cut him off. The ship's computer voice came on, sounding calm despite the chaos. Warning: critical damage to life support systems. Core breach imminent. Eric knew what that meant. The ship's power core was going to explode. Get everyone to the escape pods, he ordered. All of them, now. Lisa looked at him with wide eyes. Captain, there aren't enough pods for everyone. I know, Eric said quietly. Families with children first. Then the others. The alien ships hit them again. This time, part of the ceiling fell in. A crew member screamed as debris pinned her to the floor. Why are they doing this? Sam asked, blood running down his face from a cut on his forehead. We're not a threat to them. Eric had no answer. He helped the injured crew member free and sent her toward the escape pods. Sam, make sure our distress signal is still broadcasting. Add everything we know about the attacking ships. The young man nodded and turned back to his station. Through the ship's remaining cameras, Eric watched as people rushed toward the escape pods. Parents carried crying children. Crew members helped the elderly and injured. Another hit rocked the ship. Core breach in 2 minutes, the computer announced. Captain, you need to go to an escape pod, Lisa said. Grabbing his arm. Eric shook his head. Not until everyone who can get out has gone. Keep coordinating the evacuation. The next hit was the worst yet. Half of the bridge systems went dark. The ship groaned like a dying animal. Core breach in 1 minute. Eric stood at his post, watching the alien ships through the viewport. Why attack an unarmed transport? What could they possibly gain? As the final seconds counted down, Eric sent one last message toward Earth. This is Captain Eric Bennett of VA, the Halcyon Dawn. We are under attack by unknown hostile forces. Our ship is lost. Some of our people have reached escape pods. They will need rescue. Remember us. And know that whoever did this must face justice. The transmission cut off as the ship's systems failed completely. The alien ships moved away just before the Halcyon Dawn exploded in a ball of light and fire. The explosion lit up the darkness of space for a brief moment, then faded away. Across the solar system, emergency systems picked up the distress calls. On Earth, military commanders were woken from sleep. On Europa, search and rescue ships launched. Immediately, but they were too late for most of the 237 souls aboard the Halcyon Dawn. Only 23 escape pods had launched before the explosion. Only 23 pods carrying terrified survivors who had witnessed humanity's first contact with alien life, a contact marked not by peace or discovery, but by unprovoked violence. And as the news reached Earth, a quiet anger began to build. An anger that would soon be focused into what would become known as divine precision. Admiral Paul Wright sat in a dark room at Earth Defense Headquarters. His face showed no emotion as he watched the final message from the Halcyon Dawn play on a large screen. The room was filled with military leaders, but no one spoke. They all watched Captain Eric Bennett's last words before his ship exploded. Remember us. And know that whoever did this must face justice. The screen went black. Admiral Wright closed his eyes for a moment. He was an older man with gray hair and deep lines on his face. He had seen many things in his long career, but nothing like this. 214 dead, he said at last. 23 survivors in escape pods. 8 of them are children. General Olivia Carter stood up. She was tall with short blonde hair and wore a uniform with many medals. As the head of Earth's Strategic Command, She was one of the most powerful military leaders on the planet. We've studied the information from the escape pods and the ship's final transmissions, she said. We know who attacked us. She touched a control pad, and a new image appeared on the screen. It showed one of the alien ships that had attacked the Halcyon Dawn. They call themselves the Corvin Imperium, Olivia explained. Until now, they've stayed at the edges of our space. We've heard rumors about them from our furthest colonies, but this is their first direct attack against us. Why? Asked a man at the table. Why attack a civilian ship? Admiral Wright leaned forward. According to our intelligence, they see us as a growing threat. They want to scare us, to show us they're stronger. And what will we show them? Asked Olivia. The room was quiet again. Then Paul stood up. We will show them what happens when someone attacks Earth's people, he said. This will be their first and last attack on us. 6 hours later, a smaller group met in a secure room. Maps and data filled screens around them. Admiral Wright pointed to a young man standing by the door. This is Commander Daniel Morgan, he said. He will lead our response. Daniel stepped forward. He was in his 30s, with short brown hair and serious eyes. He wore a simple dark uniform with few decorations. Commander Morgan designed our newest ship, the EDF Retribution. Admiral Wright explained. It's the only one of its kind. On a screen, an image appeared of a sleek black ship. It was smaller than most military vessels, but had a dangerous look to it. The Retribution has technology the Corvins don't know about, Daniel said. They think we're primitive. They have no idea what we're capable of. Admiral Wright nodded. The President has authorized Operation Divine Precision. Our goal is clear. Find who ordered the attack on the Halcyon Dawn and deliver our response. Will we destroy their ships? Someone asked. No, Daniel replied. That would make us like them. We will be precise. We will be surgical. We will show them exactly what humanity is. General Olivia brought up more information on the screens. The survivors told us the aliens made no attempt to communicate before attacking. They gave no warning. They showed no mercy to a ship full of families. Daniel looked at the pictures of the people who had died on the Halcyon Dawn. Teachers, scientists, children. People who had been looking forward to new lives. Your orders are to find the Corvin responsible for the attack and deliver our response, Admiral Wright told Daniel. No civilian casualties. No collateral damage. Absolute precision. Daniel nodded. My team is ready. Later that day, Daniel met with his chosen crew on the Retribution. They gathered in the ship's briefing room. Each person there was the best at what they did. Susan Parker, the tactical officer, had short red hair and quick eyes. She could read alien technology better than anyone. I've been studying their communication patterns, she said. The attack was ordered by someone called War Master Kazek of House Dren. His ship, the Dominion, is currently near Alpha Centauri. Alan Rodriguez, the chief engineer, pulled up diagrams of Corvin ships on a screen. He had dark skin, a neatly trimmed beard, and hands that moved quickly as he talked. Their shields are strong, but they have weak spots here and here, he said, pointing. Their technology uses radionic fields. Our new phase disruptors should cut right through them. Kate Williams, the navigation officer, was young but already famous for her skills. She had helped design the Retribution's cloaking system. We can get close to them without being seen, she said. They won't know we're there until it's too late. Ryan Peterson, the communications officer, added, We've learned enough of their language to talk to them. They won't expect that either. Daniel looked at each member of his crew. They were ready. They were determined. The Corvins think we're weak, he said. They think we'll either do nothing or respond with blind anger. They're wrong on both counts. He showed them pictures from the halcyon dawn, happy faces of people who were now dead. "We're not going for revenge," Daniel continued. "We're going for justice. Every move we make will be precise. We will show them exactly who we are and what happens when someone harms innocent humans." The crew nodded. They understood. The next morning, Admiral Wright and General Olivia watched as the Retribution prepared to leave Earth. The ship was unlike any other in Earth's fleet. Its black hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Do you think this will work?" Olivia asked quietly. Paul watched the ship rise smoothly into the air. "Commander Morgan understands what we need to do. This isn't about destroying the Corvins. It's about sending a message they'll never forget." "And if they don't listen to our message?" she asked. "Then we'll send another one," he replied. "But I think they'll listen. The Retribution is going to show them something they've never seen before." As the Retribution left Earth's atmosphere, Daniel Morgan sat in the command chair. He thought about the survivors from the halcyon dawn. He had visited them in the hospital before leaving. A little girl had asked him if he was going to find the bad aliens. "Yes," he had told her, "and I'm going to make sure they never hurt anyone." Again, "Promise?" she had asked. "Promise," he had replied. Now, as his ship accelerated away from Earth, he intended to keep that promise. "Set course for Alpha Centauri," he ordered. "Maximum speed." The Retribution's engines glowed briefly, then the ship seemed to vanish from normal space. Its revolutionary drive system allowed it to travel faster than any Corvin ship. The hunt had begun. Earth's response was on its way. The EDF Retribution moved through space like a shadow. Its black hull did not reflect light. Its engines made almost no noise. It was invisible to most sensors. Inside, the crew worked in near silence. Each person focused on their task with great care. Commander Daniel Morgan sat in his command chair, studying reports. He had not slept much in the 3 days since they left Earth. The faces of the halcyon dawn victims stayed in his mind. "Commander," Susan Parker called from her station. "I've found something." Daniel walked over to the tactical officer's console. Susan had been working for days to understand Corvin communication patterns. Her red hair was tied back, and her eyes showed tiredness, but also excitement. "What do you have?" Daniel asked. Susan pointed to a series of signals on her screen. "I've confirmed War Master Kazek's location. His flagship, the Dominion, is in orbit around a planet in the Alpha Centauri system. The Corvins call it Centauri Prime." Daniel nodded. "Good work. Can you show me the ship?" Susan brought up an image. On the main screen, the Dominion was large, almost 3 times the size of the Retribution. It had a pointed front and wings that swept back like a bird of prey. Its hull was dark gray with red markings. "That's a warship," Daniel said quietly, "not a science vessel or explorer." "It was built to fight." "Yes," Susan agreed. "And from what I can tell, War Master Kazek is proud of it. He sends many messages about its power and the fear it causes." Daniel's face hardened. "What about defenses?" Chief Engineer Alan Rodriguez joined them. He had spent most of the journey studying what they knew about Corvin technology. His dark eyes were serious as he pointed to parts of the alien ship. "Their shields are very strong," he said, "but they have weak spots here and here." He pointed to 2 areas near the ship's engines. "Their technology uses radionic fields. Our phase disruptors should cut through them easily." "And we've confirmed War Master Kazek is on board?" Daniel asked. Navigation Officer Kate Williams looked up from her console. "Yes, Commander. Multiple sources confirm he's there. The ship has about 500 crew members, all military." Daniel walked back to his chair, thinking, "How close can we get without them seeing us?" "Within 50 kilometers," Susan replied. Maybe closer if we time it with their sensor refresh cycle. Daniel sat down and looked at his crew. They were the best Earth had to offer. Brilliant, disciplined, and now united in purpose. The Corvins attacked a defenseless civilian ship without warning, he said quietly. We're going to show them exactly what happens to those who harm innocent lives. The crew nodded. No one smiled. This wasn't about revenge. This was about justice. Kate, take us in, Daniel ordered. Full stealth mode. The Retribution moved closer to the Alpha Centauri system. Its advanced cloaking technology hid it from Corvin sensors. As they approached Centauri Prime, they could see several Corvin ships in orbit. The largest was the Dominion. They have no idea we're here, Kate said, her voice showing a hint of pride in their ship's abilities. Daniel watched the alien warship on the screen. Let's get a closer look at their patrol patterns. For the next 12 hours, the Retribution shadowed the Dominion, studying its movements, its defenses, and its crew rotations. Susan continued to monitor their communications. Commander, she said finally, I've learned something important. The War Master is planning to attack another human colony. He sent orders to prepare 3 more ships. Daniel's face showed no emotion, but his eyes hardened. When? In 2 days, Susan replied. They're targeting a research station near Saturn. Daniel stood up. Then we move now. Are we ready? His officers nodded. Double quotes Allen. Prepare the phase disruptors, Daniel ordered. Target the exact points we discussed. Susan, prepare to open a channel to their bridge when I give the signal. Kate, position us 30 kilometers from their port side. The crew moved with calm efficiency. There was no nervousness, no hesitation. They had trained for this moment. Everyone remember, Daniel said. Absolute precision. We are not here for destruction. We are here to deliver justice. The Retribution glided into position beside the much larger Corvin warship. From the Dominion, there was no reaction. They could not see the Earth vessel. In position, Commander, Kate reported. Daniel took a deep breath. Disengage cloaking system on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Mark. The Retribution suddenly appeared in space, as if by magic, just 30 kilometers from the Corvin flagship. On the Dominion, alarms began to sound. They've seen us, Susan said. They're raising shields and charging weapons. Before they can fire, Daniel ordered, Allen, deploy the electromagnetic pulse. Allen's fingers moved quickly over his console. Pulse away, Commander. A wave of invisible energy spread from the Retribution. When it hit the Dominion, the alien ship's weapon systems suddenly went dark. Their weapons are disabled, Allen confirmed. Shield systems partially affected. Susan, open a channel, Daniel ordered. He stood straight, his face calm but determined. Channel open, Ryan Peterson, the communications officer, announced. Daniel looked at the screen, which now showed only stars. This is Commander Daniel Morgan of the Earth Defense Force. I am addressing War Master Kozik of House Dren. The screen flickered, then showed an alien face. The Corvin had blue-gray skin and multiple eyes arranged in a pattern across its face. Elaborate armor covered its shoulders. It looked surprised, but quickly tried to hide this. I am War Master Kozik, the alien replied in accented English. You have made a grave error approaching the flagship of the Corvin Imperium human. Your primitive vessel will be added to our collection. 3 days ago, your forces attacked and destroyed a civilian transport, the Halcyon Dawn, Daniel stated. His voice controlled. 214 non-combatants were killed. The Corvin made a dismissive gesture with one of its 4 arms. Merely a demonstration of our superiority. Your species must learn its place in the galaxy. We've learned something, Daniel replied, and now so will you. He nodded to Allen. Now, Allen activated the Retribution's phase disruptors. The beams sliced through space with surgical precision. They bypassed the Dominion shields completely and struck exactly 12 points on the hull. On the Corvin ship, systems began shutting down one by one. Lights flickered and died. On the screen, Warmaster Kazek looked around in alarm as his bridge darkened. "What have you done?" The alien demanded, fear now evident in its voice. Daniel's face remained calm. "We've disabled your ship. Targeting. Only non-essential systems. No casualties. Your life support will continue functioning. You and your crew will live." "You cannot," Kazek began. "We can," Daniel interrupted. "And we have. This is humanity's response, Warmaster. We could have destroyed your vessel. We could have killed everyone aboard. Instead, we chose precision." Daniel stepped closer to the screen. "The attack on our civilian ship has been answered. Remember this day, Warmaster? Remember what happened when you thought humans were weak." With that, Daniel signaled to Ryan to cut the communication. The alien's face disappeared from the screen. "Commander," Susan said, checking her readings, "I'm detecting multiple Corvin ships moving toward this position." Daniel nodded. "Our work here is done. Kate, take us home. Maximum speed." The Retribution's engines glowed briefly. Then the ship seemed to vanish from normal space, leaving behind the disabled Corvin flagship Dot. As they sped back toward Earth, Daniel sat in his chair, thinking. The mission was complete. Justice had been delivered with divine precision. Not a single life had been taken, yet the message was clear. Daniel hoped it would be enough. If not, Earth was ready to respond again, with even greater precision. 1 week after the Retribution returned to Earth, Commander Daniel Morgan stood in a large meeting room at Earth Defense Headquarters. The walls showed screens with news from across human space. Many of them showed the same thing: Corvin ships, moving away from human colonies. Admiral Paul Wright entered the room. His face looked less tired than when Daniel had last seen him. "The Corvins have pulled back all their ships," Paul said. "They've moved at least 20 light years from any human settlement." Daniel nodded. "Have they said anything officially?" "Not yet," Paul replied. "But we've intercepted a lot of messages between their ships. They're confused and worried. They didn't expect us to have technology like the Retribution." Daniel looked at one of the screens. It showed the survivors from the Halcyon Dawn. They were recovering in a hospital on Earth. The children were playing in a garden, watched by doctors and the few adults who had survived. "What about Warmaster Kazek?" Daniel asked. "Still stranded. On his ship," Paul said with a small smile. "We disabled it thoroughly. Their rescue ships won't reach him for another 3 days." Daniel thought about the Corvin commander. Kazek had ordered the attack on the Halcyon Dawn without hesitation. He had killed 214 innocent people to make a point. And now he was stuck on his powerless ship, waiting for help. "Good," Daniel said quietly. "He needs time to think about what he did." A young officer entered the room and saluted. "Admiral, Commander, the President wants to speak with you." They followed the officer to a secure communication room. On a large screen, the President of Earth appeared. She was an older woman with gray hair and a serious face. "Commander Morgan," she said, "I've read your mission report. Excellent work." "Thank you, Madam President," Daniel replied. "The Corvin Imperium has finally contacted us," she continued. "They want to talk. I think your mission changed their minds about humans." Admiral Wright looked pleased. "What are they saying?" "They've asked for a meeting," the President replied. "They want to discuss what they call the unfortunate incident with the Halcyon Dawn." Daniel frowned. "Unfortunate incident?" "They murdered over 200 civilians." The President nodded. "I know, and they will answer for that. But this is a chance to prevent more deaths on both sides." Daniel understood. The mission had never been about starting a war. It was about justice and showing strength. "What do you need from us?" he asked. "I want you to be there when we meet them," the president said. "You showed them our strength. Now help me show them our wisdom." 3 days later, Daniel stood with Admiral Wright and General Olivia Carter in a large room on a space station near Jupiter. The room had a long table with chairs on both sides. Earth representatives sat on one side, waiting. "They're docking now," a security officer reported. Daniel straightened his uniform. This would be the first official meeting between humans and Corvins. History was being made. The doors opened. 3 Corvins entered the room. They were tall with blue-gray skin and 4 arms each. Multiple eyes blinked across their faces. They wore elaborate armor with symbols of rank. The one in the middle stepped forward. "I am High Commander Varric of the Corvin Imperium. We come seeking peace." The president stood. "We welcome you to human space, High Commander. Please sit." The Corvins sat across from the humans. Their extra arms rested on the table. They looked uncomfortable but determined. "We wish to discuss the actions of War Master Kazakh," Varric said, "and the response of your vessel, the Retribution." Daniel watched the alien carefully. Varric seemed different from Kazakh, less arrogant, more thoughtful. "War Master Kazakh acted without proper authorization," Varric continued. "He believed your species was a threat that needed to be shown our power. He was wrong. He killed 214 innocent people," Daniel said, his voice calm but firm. "Children, teachers, doctors." Varric's eyes blinked in what seemed like sadness. "Yes, a terrible crime. One that the Imperium does not support." Admiral Wright leaned forward. "Yet you promoted him to War Master. You gave him command of your most powerful ship." "A mistake," Varric admitted. "One that we are correcting. Kazakh has been removed from command. He will face justice under our laws." The president nodded. "That is good to hear. But we need more than words." "Of course," Varric agreed. "The Imperium offers reparations to the families of those lost. We also propose a formal treaty between our peoples, one that will prevent such tragedy in the future." The meeting continued for hours. The Corvins seemed genuinely interested in peace. They had been shocked by what the Retribution had done. Not the destruction it could have caused, but the precision it had shown. "Your ship could have destroyed the Dominion," Varric said to Daniel during a break. 500 Corvins would have died. Yet you chose to disable it instead. No lives were lost. "That's who we are," Daniel replied simply. "We defend our people. We seek justice, not revenge." Varek's multiple eyes blinked rapidly. "War Master." Kazakh believed humans were primitive, weak. He thought your technology was far behind ours. "He was wrong," Daniel said. "Yes," Varric agreed. "But it wasn't your technology that impressed our leaders most. It was your restraint. Any species can build weapons. Few know when not to use them." After the meeting, Daniel walked with Admiral right back to their ship. "Do you think they're sincere?" Daniel asked. Paul nodded slowly. "I do. They're warriors, but they respect strength and wisdom. You showed them both. What happens now?" "Now we build peace," Paul replied, "one step at a time." When they returned to Earth, Daniel visited the Halcyon Dawn survivors in the hospital. He wanted to tell them that justice had been served, that the Corvins had apologized and were making amends. He found many of them in a garden. The children were planting flowers. A little girl named Amy saw him and ran over. "Did you find the bad aliens?" she asked. It was the same question she had asked before he left on the mission. Daniel knelt down to her level. "Yes, we did." "Did you hurt them?" Daniel shook his head. "No, we showed them that hurting others is wrong, and they understood." Amy thought about This for a moment, so they won't hurt anyone else? That's right, Daniel said. They won't hurt anyone else. The girl smiled and took his hand. Come and see my flowers. I'm planting them for my mom and dad. They're in heaven now. Daniel followed her to a small garden patch. Simple flowers were growing there. New life, after so much death. Later, he stood at a window watching Earth below. Their mission had been successful. Justice had been served without taking a single life. The Corvins had learned that humans were not weak. They were precise. But Daniel knew that peace was always fragile. It needed to be nurtured and protected. The retribution would remain ready, just in case. Earth would remain vigilant. Yet for now, there was hope. A new understanding between species. And flowers growing in a garden, planted by a child who had lost everything, but still found the strength to build something new. 6 months passed since the Retribution's mission. Earth and the Corvin Imperium had signed a peace treaty. The families of the Halcyon Dawn victims received help and money from the Corvins. A memorial garden was built in orbit where the ship had been destroyed. Commander Daniel Morgan stood before the United Earth Council. The large room was filled with representatives from all human colonies. Daniel wore his formal uniform with a new medal on his chest, the Star of Precision, created to honor the Retribution's mission. Admiral Paul Wright sat nearby, listening as Daniel gave his report. The Corvin Imperium has kept all promises made. In the treaty, Daniel said, they have withdrawn their military ships from our borders. They have paid reparations to the victims' families. And they have shared valuable scientific knowledge with us. Counselor Frank Peters, a tall man with a serious face, raised his hand. And what about War Master Kazek, the one who ordered the attack? He has been tried under Corvin law, Daniel replied. He was found guilty of unauthorized aggression and stripped of all rank. He will spend the rest of his life working to help others as punishment for the lives he took. Another counselor, Maria Lopez, spoke next. Commander Morgan, many people are calling what you did a miracle. You prevented a war that could have cost millions of lives on both sides. Daniel shook his head. It wasn't a miracle, counselor. It was training, technology, and a commitment to justice rather than revenge. The council meeting continued, discussing the new relationship with the Corvins. When it ended, Daniel walked outside with Admiral Wright. How does it feel to be hero? Paul asked with a small smile. Daniel looked uncomfortable. I'm not a hero. I just did my job. The families of the Halcyon Dawn would disagree, Paul said. So would the millions of people who won't die in a war with the Corvins. They stopped at a window overlooking the city. Far above, they could see a Corvin diplomatic ship in orbit. Its design was still sharp and predatory, but now it came in peace. I've been asked to lead a human delegation to Corvin Prime, Daniel said. Their leaders want to meet the commander of the Retribution. Paul nodded. You should go. It's important for them to understand humans better. And I need to understand them better, Daniel agreed, to make sure this peace lasts. 2 weeks later, Daniel stood on the bridge of a human diplomatic vessel as it approached Corvin Prime. The alien planet looked beautiful from space, with swirling blue-green oceans. And red landmasses. Next to Daniel stood Susan Parker, his former tactical officer on the Retribution. She had been studying Corvin culture and language. Their society is built on strength and honor, Susan explained. But they define honor differently than we do. For them, precision and restraint are seen as weak. Or they were until they met. U.S. Daniel watched as they neared the planet. We changed their minds? You did, Susan said. The way you disabled the Dominion without killing anyone made them rethink what strength really means. When their ship landed at the Corvin capital, Daniel was surprised by their welcome. Hundreds of Corvins lined the streets. They didn't cheer that. Wasn't their way, but they stood at attention, showing respect. High Commander Varric met them at the landing pad. His 4 arms were held in a formal greeting position. "Commander Morgan," he said, "welcome to Corvin Prime. Our people are honored by your visit." Daniel returned the greeting as Susan had taught him. "The honor is mine, High Commander. Thank you for your hospitality." They walked through the Corvin city. The buildings were tall and sharp, like their ships. Everything seemed designed to look powerful and intimidating. Yet the Corvins themselves were more complex than Daniel had expected. "Before we meet the Imperial Council," Varric said, "there is someone who wishes to speak with you." Varric led them to a simple building away from the city center. Inside, in a plain room, sat a Corvin in simple clothes. Daniel recognized him immediately. "War Master Kazek," he said quietly. The former War Master stood. He looked different without his armor. Smaller, older. "I am no longer a War Master," Kazek said. "I am simply Kazek, Worker of Atonement." Daniel studied the alien who had caused so much pain. "Why did you want to see me?" Kazek's multiple eyes blinked slowly. "To say words, I should have said long. Go. I was wrong. What I did to your people was wrong." Daniel hadn't expected this. "You killed 214 innocent people." "Yes," Kazek admitted. "I believed showing strength meant causing fear. I believed humans were weak because you value peace. I was wrong in every way." Daniel said nothing. He thought of the families who had lost loved ones on the Halcyon Dawn. No apology could bring them back. "When your ship appeared beside the Dominion," Kazek continued, "you could have destroyed us all. It would have been easy for you. Instead, you showed true strength. You showed precision." Daniel looked at the fallen War Master. It wasn't about showing strength. It was about justice. "You taught the Corvin Imperium an important lesson," Kazek said. "One I wish I had learned before causing such pain." Later, at the meeting with the Imperial Council, Daniel watched as the most powerful Corvins discussed the future relationship between their peoples. They spoke of trade, cultural exchange, and mutual defense. An older Corvin, the head of the council, addressed Daniel directly. "Your actions have changed how we see humans. We thought you were weak because you seek peace. Now we understand that. Peace requires the greatest strength of all." After the meetings were over, Daniel stood on a balcony looking over the alien city. Susan joined him. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "Amy," Daniel replied. "The little girl who lost her parents on the Halcyon Dawn. She's planting flowers in their memory." Susan nodded. "I received a message from Earth. The memorial garden for the Halcyon Dawn is complete. They've included a special section designed by the children who survived." Daniel smiled slightly. "What did they design?" "A fountain," Susan said. "The water flows with absolute precision, forming patterns that tell the story of what happened. How tragedy led to understanding. How precision led to peace." When they returned to Earth, Daniel visited the memorial garden. It floated in space. Near Jupiter, close to where the Halcyon Dawn had been destroyed, the garden was enclosed in a beautiful glass dome. Plants from Earth and Europa grew together. In the center stood the fountain the children had designed. Amy was there with other survivors. When she saw Daniel, she ran to him. "Do you like our fountain?" she asked. "I helped design it." Daniel watched the water flowing in perfect patterns. It reminded him of the Retribution's phase disruptors, but instead of disabling a warship, these streams created something beautiful. "It's perfect," he told her. "The water never stops," Amy explained. "Just like my mom and dad never stop loving me, even though they're gone." Daniel knelt beside her. "They would be very proud of you." Amy looked at the stars visible through the dome. "Are the aliens still bad?" Daniel shook his head. They made a mistake. A terrible one. But they're trying to make things right. Like when I break something and say sorry? Amy asked. Something. Like that, Daniel said, but much bigger. Amy thought about this. Can they be our friends now? Daniel looked out at the stars, where Earth and Corvin ships now moved peacefully through space together. Yes, he said. I think they can. As humans and Corvins began working together, the story of the Halcyon Dawn and the Retribution spread throughout the galaxy. Other alien species took notice. They learned an important lesson. Humans valued peace, but they also defended their people with divine precision. And across the stars, potential enemies thought twice before threatening humanity. Those who attacked innocent humans would face a response measured not in destruction, but in unwavering, calculated precision that left no doubt about Earth's resolve.